5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Directors meeting for the Shrewsbury Council on Aging. It's Wednesday, November 13th at 9:30 a.m. The board adheres to the open meetings law and follows Robert's Rules of Order. These meetings are streamed by the Town of Shrewsbury Cable, which is probably how you found us online. And today they're being produced by Sarah for the Shrewsbury Town website. I'm Alex Roman, chairperson of the board. Holly Luke, director of the Council on Aging. Casey Bogan, assistant director. Renee D'Argento, the outreach coordinator. And I'll let the board members introduce themselves. We'll start here.
Good morning. My name is Larry Meon. I'm the vice chair.
Ruth Scala.
Rachel Kleiman Wexler.
Okay, everyone. And we have minutes from October of 2024.
24.
Is there are any amendments to the minutes?
I move to accept them as is. I didn't find them okay.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Agreed.
Aye. Great. We have a couple representatives from the Friends. Maria, you want to kick things off for us?
Sure. Good morning. Maria Smith. I am the president of the Friends of the Shrewsbury Senior Center. Thanks for having us today. Just a quick little update on what we're doing as far as our membership. We're always striving to get new people. At the present time, we have a total membership of the Friends as of November 5th of 236 members. And I'm very happy to say 42 of that number are new members, not renewals. So we are constantly inching our way to get new members all the time. We've got a long way to go. I mean, in my estimation, having almost 10,000 seniors in town, this is a mere number that I would love to see, pumped up significantly. But we keep searching and trying to increase that number. I would love to have some strategy, and I welcome any feedback or suggestions from you as the Council on Aging, how to target the younger seniors in town. I mean, with that large number, of course, that is total number of seniors in town. And we have a lot of members. Most of them are aging out, so that's why we're struggling, I think, to renew the membership with some of the people. So we want to be all inclusive of all the ages of seniors in town, and I would love to have suggestions from someone as to your thoughts of how we can target or market to those younger seniors in town. So that's kind of an ongoing goal of the Friends. So if anyone has any suggestions, I would love to hear from you. Our upcoming events, Monday, November 18th at 1 o'clock, we have a kind of delayed patriotic gathering. We have a veteran guest speaker, Nancy Hughes, who will be speaking to us about her experiences in the military. She's from town, been in town a long time, and was in the military for quite a long time. Followed by entertainment, we have Hit the Bus Band, which has performed at the Senior Center previously, and they're a bunch of talented musicians, and they will be playing patriotic music as well as other tunes. And we have a promotion, if you will, going on, asking people that attend to bring a canned good or a non-perishable item of food for the food pantry that we have in the fridge to be stocked. So we're hoping that we get good response with that. Then December 9th, we have our holiday party, and we are featuring entertainment by Elvis. Elvis will be gracing us with his presence. Dan Fontaine, and I know he has performed at the Senior Center before, and it was hugely successful. So we're bringing him back, and everyone's looking forward to that. We've kind of put the word out, and everyone said, yes, they would love to see him. So we have him coming on the 9th. And the next meeting of our Friends board is December 3rd. I have a question, basically. We were thinking of doing something like a craft to make your own wreath for the holidays. Is that something we've done in the past? And if so, Holly, was it successful?
What we did a few years ago is we bought a bulk amount of wreaths. I think we purchased them from a local boys club is where we purchased them from. And then what we did was we gave people things that they could decorate. And so we didn't do it in the senior center, but it was something that people could take home if they wanted to. They could have the kit if they wanted to, or just
see.
the wreath.
So it wasn't an actual gathering to make these?
No.
You know, under the instruction of someone
No.
leading them? Okay.
No.
What are your thoughts about that?
I know years before I got here, I believe they were hiring someone from Paxton or Spencer that was coming. It was one of the nurseries that was coming here. Was it?
Bemis, probably,
Bemis.
yeah.
And they were doing that. It does come at a fee. So you could reach out to them, or maybe like a Bigelow's or somebody close to see if they would do that.
Maybe Davidson's or something?
Just think about this, though. The newsletter has gone to print.
Right.
So it'd be a little late for December for us to get any announcements out.
Well, maybe we'll think about it for the next holiday, something that we could do a spring wreath or something like that.
Well,
Valentine's wreath.
one thing to consider is with the new renovations that the senior center is undergoing right now, so we just had the carpet, next week we're getting new furniture. One of the things that I have, I'm planning is to do like an open house in January. I don't have anything else, any details, other than I want to have an open house in January. So perhaps that's something we can collaborate on, and the friends could maybe bring something that day that's going on. But let's sit and see what we can come up with.
Okay, perfect. Well, I figured I would get your opinion, because I know things have been done in the past.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to revisit something if it wasn't successful, so, and I agree, it is a little too late at this stage of the game. We are chugging along. We have our, as I mentioned at the last meeting here, we have now our email, our website, our phone number. Slow going. We've had like about 3 phone calls. So, but it's 3 more than we would have had if we didn't have a phone. So I think it just needs time to catch on, and I need to collaborate with our website person to make sure that she's putting everything on the website so that the word will get out there. Other than that, I don't know how else, you know, between the newsletter and that, I don't know how else to get the word out there.
I think even as well as the newsletter reaches people, I think if you wanted to send us periodically like an update that we can send in an email, because our email flashes go out to over 5,000 people.
Oh.
So, you know, once a week, once bi-weekly, I think that would be fine. You could just send it right to Casey and she can send it in a news flash.
Oh, that would be helpful, since you're reaching so many people. That
Right.
would be great. That would be really helpful. Okay, moving on. Our sensory garden is kind of slow go. I don't know if we have any updates of any more checks or money that have come in. I know that I have 2 that I have been, you know, going to get. People have contacted me. Shannon from Britain's said she has a check for us, and she told me a week and a half ago, and I've had so many deaths in my own family that I haven't had time to go pick up the check. And I also was in contact with Mike Hale at Shrewsbury Credit Union, and he asked about sponsoring like specific items. They felt more comfortable, or they thought it would be better for them with the recognition and whatever, if they could, you know, buy one particular item or give money toward the purchase of a bench or a fountain or a whatever. So I've been working with Renee to get kind of some cost breakdowns, and they committed. It's just a matter of getting back to him with what the particular item was that he was interested in, what the cost would be, so that they could sponsor that particular item. So maybe it will pick up. I'm hopeful that, you know, we'll do a promotion. Maybe this news flash thing, I've been trying to think of how we could, Renee and I have talked about reaching out to, with the brochure that we have, the lovely trifold brochure, doing a bulk mailing to people in town, like businesses and things like that, to make them aware of it. So maybe we'll try pursuing that as well. The only other thing I have is to revisit our sign. I mean, this is an ongoing thing with us. I don't know whether you've made any progress with, you know, speaking to people about our signage for the senior center being more visible, or having a larger sign, or whatever? Has anything come out of
So
that?
that entails a lot more work, and it needs to have the town manager's office engaged into that process, as well as the select board. And I believe that that is part of the dementia-friendly process that Casey works with a few of the select board members periodically. So it is on their radar. It is just something that we have to wait until it comes to fruition.
I have a thought, and maybe I can send a letter to the town manager, the select board, whatever. The two signs that we have out there now that were moved for the town hall that are like this, to me, one of those could easily be transferred to, say, the senior center. They don't really need two signs side by side saying, town hall, where they had it at the other entrance, which is not there anymore. I know that they didn't want to waste the sign because that was costly, and it is a beautiful sign. And I thought maybe that could just be altered, the one that goes this way, to, say something about the senior center, or, pointing people to the senior center. So I would like to reach out to them and give that as a suggestion, and maybe they would have some thoughts about that. What are your thoughts?
That is something that if you feel strongly to advocate for, I would suggest that you go ahead and do it. I have done it in the past, but again, that would be your decision.
Might be more effective if you did it directly.
I just think it's getting lost in the shuffle. It's not a priority, to them, but I think for us it is, because there are so many people that are from town, have been here a long time, and they don't even know where the senior center is. Thankfully, they cut all the brush down that was in front of the sign, the one that we do have, was covering the sign totally, the wheatgrass or whatever that is. So it looks much better, but it's still so far removed from the road that people, I think, can't find us. So I think I'll try. I've got nothing to lose and hopefully something to gain. So
Okay,
that's my thought.
thanks,
you.
Maria.
Thank you.
Okay, financial reports.
Yes, so we are going to speak to the financial report that I sent on November 7th at 4:04 PM. You'll notice on the PDF that I sent you, I did add in some comment bars just to keep everybody in the loop and remind everybody what each line is for. So now that Casey has it up on the screen. So, starting at the very top, we'll start at the general fund. The general fund is the fund that is voted on at the town meeting. And we'll just scroll through the next highlighted area. So the next one is on page 2, which is total longevity. Total longevity, that goes towards Cynthia Willis, the $350, because she's been with the town for 28 years. You keep scrolling. Now we're on page 3. So OPEX, that is the acronym for operating. So you can see that I highlighted what we started with at the beginning of the year, which was $2,000, where we are right now, which is $1,424.45. That is for the cell phones that the COA staff members use. Moving down, you can see it says hospital and medical. The hospital and medical line item is for the van drivers for their physicals. We started with $660. We're still at $660. The van drivers typically have their physicals done in the spring, so that number will change in the spring. The next one is services not classified. Services not classified is the line item for those unexpected expenses that we don't plan for at the beginning of the year. So we started with $4,000. You'll see that there is a negative $264. That has, since we've done this spreadsheet, it has been reclassified to the formula grant. So we are at a flat negative $4,000. The $4,000 was used to pay half of the cost of the COA town vehicle that we're going to be acquiring. We're just waiting on the title for that. If you keep moving, down, it's print postage stationery. That is our monthly mailing for the newsletters. So we keep it at $2,000 out of the general fund, but in a typical year, it can cost anywhere between $5,000 and $8,000 for us to mail the 2,500 newsletters on a monthly basis. The next one is office supplies. We have $1,000. You can see that we are at $10.49 left. We always strive to spend the money out of the general fund first before we utilize any of our other accounts. The next one is car allowance and mileage. That's at the bottom of page 4, but we need to scroll to page 5. Car allowance and mileage is exactly what it sounds like. So when any of the staff members utilize their own vehicles, they're reimbursed a certain percentage, and we have $747.50 left in that line item. Moving to dues and memberships. So some of our stakeholders that we collaborate with, such as Elder Services of Worcester, Massachusetts Council on Aging, we pay them a dues every single year. We started at $5,560. We are now at $3,141.08. Trainings and conferences. So this is when any staff member would attend a training, or as recently as the MCOA conference, we started at $3,000. We have submitted the reimbursement request, so that should show up in December. So the total amount of the operating that we started with was $19,220. We're at $10,550.02. Scrolling down to page 6. The aging and dementia friendly furniture, that was the capital request. I had submitted a request for $76,000. The amount of purchase came in less than that, which was $66,268.02. The remaining monies not used will go right back to the town. Scrolling down to page 7, so Elder Affairs grant, otherwise known as the Formula Grant. If we keep scrolling down, so we're on the top of page 9. We started, so remember that we had a rolling balance from fiscal year 24 into fiscal year 25. We received the formula grant in 2 lump sums from Executive Office of Elder Affairs. So it shows a negative $66,083.29. However, that isn't exactly accurate because it's constantly changing, and we're still receiving reimbursements from our FY24 MCOA grant. So I'll speak to the budget sheet in a little bit, which is more accurate in what we have. But for Munis purposes, I felt it necessary to include the formula grant report. So if we can move down to page 10, we're going to keep scrolling through page 10, it appears, and page 11. And page 12. So now we find ourselves at the bottom of page 13. So we're at gift fund. And you can see it's pretty extensive. So now we're on page 16. So part of the gift fund, the way the gift fund works is any monies that have been gifted to us. So one of them is the garden fund, which appears on page 16, which shows the actual total amount on page 18, which is 18,000, yes. No, that cannot be correct.
That's the total gift fund.
That's the total gift fund, $18,885.07. Where was the totals? Sorry, it's in the middle of page 17. The total amount of the Senior Center Garden Fund is $7,625.
Shouldn't it be closer to 8,400 or something?
So we can look at the budget sheet, but for the Munis reports right now. Okay. So again, if there's been any deposits since we pulled this report, that's not going to show on today's Munis report. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then also on page 18, we have the revolving account. So the revolving fund is the fund that we use to provide the maintenance on the two CO8 owned white vans. And if you scroll down to page 20, the total revolving funds that we have right now are $4,833.51. Again, there have been some deposits since then. Is there anything else we wanted to mention on the revolving? I don't think so. But that is the financial reports. And so each month I ask that you take the Munis report that I send and you can compare it to the spreadsheets that Casey and I have created for each line item that we have in our entire budget for all the accounts. And the spreadsheets that we provided through the drive are real-time updates. So they are as accurate as we can get them without the only part that doesn't show up on our spreadsheets is when we get reimbursed funds for certain grants. Sometimes those funds do not come across our desk. They actually get directly put into the accounting software system. So then we have to go back to make sure that it's been received and then update our sheets. With that said, are there any questions on the financial report, whether Munis or the spreadsheets?
Just a brief question. In regards to the garden, what's the goal?
$43,000.
43.
So,
I actually like the idea that Maria mentioned, to provide a list of specific items. Maybe people will be a little more interested in donation of a specific item.
Yeah, I mean, that can be done, but the biggest cost is actually the construction of the raised cedar beds
Yeah.
and the perennials that would be in those beds, yeah,
I'm aware of that.
yeah.
Thank you.
one of the things that I do want to mention that I mentioned in an email, but I didn't discuss on the reports, is that Executive Office of Elder Affairs did confirm that we have now received $15 per senior, anybody that's 60 plus, based on the 2020 census. So it went up from $14 to $15, which ultimately gives us just under $10,000 increase for FY25. So that is fantastic. And that is something that we can discuss where some of those monies can go, and perhaps it's in the garden for FY26. Any other questions regarding the financial sheets?
Looks good.
Okay, next we have.
So the main thing is we're tracking on to be at or under budget for the fiscal year.
Yes, yes. Our goal is to never be over budget. So that is correct.
Okay, very good. Next, director's report and outreach. I know you
Morning,
have to
everybody.
hustle out, Renee.
To start off with the food pantry, we have about 55 people registered for the food pantry, and those registrations have slowed down a little bit. We had a good initial amount of signups for the first several months of running. We do have anywhere between 15 and 20 people, households, who come and visit each week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when it's open. So the food pantry is open on Tuesdays from 9 to 5:30, and on Wednesday from 9 to 3:30. And during those hours, people would contact me to schedule an appointment, and we have been scheduling running weekly appointments so that people just have to call if they're not going to be able to come to the pantry. So we still have plenty more space for people to join. And if you want to register, you can either see me or go to the senior center front desk and get a registration form, and then we can get you set up. And as part of that, for a first visit, I do a benefits review, which is, really helpful to people. And I think people are starting to, with the pressures of costs, especially property taxes and things like that, more and more people are coming in for benefits reviews and finding that they are qualified for something that can really help their budget. So I hope more people come in and give me a call, anytime for that. So for the food pantry, we had over here Ruth. She managed to get many donations from Southgate, from where she lives, from residents there, and we got a big, huge cart of donations. And I think, Ruth, you mentioned that that periodically that you're going to spearhead even more donations to the food pantry.
The goal
Yes.
is to keep it going. You should have gotten
Yeah.
delivery yesterday.
Yeah, we did. We're really grateful for that.
Replacing our blue wagon. Amazon agreed to replace it.
Sorry, Ruth.
And the other thing that replenished our pantry recently is, so the police department did a Stuff a Cruiser food fundraiser for Veterans Inc. and I believe for a homeless shelter called Abby's House. And they got such a response. I mean, not just regular food, but also pet food. And so they donated a ton of pet food over at Andrea Castanetti's shelter. And I was able to go and visit the police department where they had an abundance of things that they wanted to donate for us. And they brought that over the weekend. So we had many, many boxes of those. And it includes a lot of great things, spices and sauces and vinegars and oils and and all kinds of staples. So we really replenished our supplies, and not just the supplies themselves, but the variety of things that people can choose from. So, which is really nice.
Well, thanks, Ruth, and Southgate and the police.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knew they were such gourmets?
And actually, I don't have any kind of commitment, but I'm going to see whether that's something that they might want to do regularly as well. So, yeah. On fuel assistance, people are eager to get their applications in, and many have gotten their renewal applications. Luckily, unlike last year where the mail lost thousands of them. So fuel assistance is from November 1st until April 30th. So people have a lot of time if you want to apply. And contact me if you want to see what the qualifications are. I've processed at least 24 applications thus far, and really, once you qualify for fuel assistance, you can also, and especially if you're a fuel oil customer and you're running out of oil, the town has an emergency account for a one-time number of gallons. If you're running out, and especially if you need to apply for fuel assistance, we can get that application then so that we can get you started for the winter. Along with that is Share the Warmth. Those applications are available to people who qualify for fuel assistance, and that's a Selco program that can help defray some of the cost of your electric bill after March 1st. Also, if you qualify for fuel assistance, you can get weatherization of your home to reduce your heating bills, and also heating system repairs for people who need a furnace repair or a replacement. There have been several oil tanks that were leaking in town that were replaced for people. And so far, I've processed at least 4 heating system repairs this year, and 3 emergency oil fill-ups. So that's only going to keep growing. So apply for fuel assistance. It's a really great program, and it really helps you with a lot of things.
Renee, what's the turnaround time from application to notification of acceptance?
So that's really difficult to say because, SMOC, Southern Middlesex Opportunity Council, they're the ones who process the applications for a region, and we're part of that region. And, first in, first out. And if you have all of your ducks in a row and all of the documents that they require, sometimes people will get a notice saying, you don't qualify, But if you return these documents that are missing, we can, reevaluate that. And if that happens to somebody, contact me and I can, help facilitate that document turnaround quicker. But it could be many months. So I always tell people, don't depend on it to help you until probably later in the season.
So the early bird gets the worm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a number of programs as well coming up in November and December. We're starting off a 3-series of scam and fraud programs with contractor scams coming up November 19th. That's this Monday from 1 to 2:30. And then in December 16th, we're having the Mass Department of Consumer Affairs come out, a representative to talk about seasonal shopping scams and identity theft and things like that. And that's December 16th from 1 to 2. And also, with Medicare open enrollment's going to be, winding up December 7th, the SHINE representatives at the senior center are full. And if anybody needs to meet with somebody or have an appointment, they have questions, we've been directing people to the central office in Milford, the phone number, so that people can ask their questions and may be able to get help over the phone, or they can contact another senior center to see if there's an appointment available. And our own Larry Mayone has been conducting, Medicare, several programs each month to talk to residents about the new changes coming up in FY25. The last of those is coming up in December 2nd. A Mass General Brigham rep is coming to talk about Medicare Advantage plans. So that'll be your chance to also get some questions answered on Medicare Advantage programs if people want to do that. We also have a panel coming up November 20th on Wednesday next week from 2:30 to 4. It's basically a real estate and estate planning panel with a real estate person, a real estate attorney, an elder law attorney, as well as a mortgage person who's going to discuss reverse mortgages. And people can learn about, what the options they want to consider in their planning for the future, especially as it relates to, Medicaid and long-term care planning and that sort of stuff. Downsizing your home, what are the options to go to, all that. So hopefully we'll get a good turnout. That's usually a pretty popular topic.
That's about 2:30?
It's from 2:30 to 4.
Yeah.
Yep,
There'll also be an estate planning attorney there as well.
yep, that's right.
Renee, can you mention the update on Gleaners and our produce, what's happening now?
Sure. So we've been getting produce deliveries from Boston area gleaners out of Acton. What they do is they aggregate produce from local farmers in Massachusetts that they contract with, and then partners like us, we either get produce deliveries all week during the summer from July through around the end of November. So the weekly supplies we've been getting, next week is going to be our last delivery. And so we'll have produce for the next several weeks, but that's going to run low. And that's one of the things that unfortunately, I haven't had time to do, is what I'd like to do is supplement that and find another source for those things. Which hopefully we'll do soon. And maybe even when we do food drives, I don't know if it's viable, maybe we can come up with a plan to see if whether people would even, create a wish list for the kinds of produce that people look for and maybe try to do that. I don't know. But
Always a lot going on, Raquel.
Just a reminder, Renee, in the past, you have referred people to me in SHINE for when you met with them and did benefit assessment, you find out that they have low earnings. If you could continue doing it and sending them to us, I've helped several people last year. in regards to their benefits and
Mm-hmm.
MSP and so on. So that would be great if you continue doing that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a regular part of what I do
Yeah,
is,
Keep me in the loop.
yep. So I think that's it. Does anybody have any other questions?
Is there any income parameters on using the food pantry?
No,
That's
not at all.
what I think.
No, you just have to be a Shrewsbury resident, senior over age 60, and it's really the whole household. So if a household has a senior age 60 or above, they can come to the food pantry. In some cases, there are people who come for others to pick up food. There may be, a friend or a caregiver who does. And, if a person is homebound and just can't get out, we can deliver to them as well.
Thank you.
Since we're still talking about the food pantry, I did want to mention, I know I mentioned it to the board members, that we are currently seeking a 15-hour-a-week food pantry coordinator. That person will be working with Renee or under Renee as supervising. If anybody is interested in that position, really the qualifications are you must be able to lift at least 25 pounds. And we're taking those applications now. You just need to go to the town website and fill out the application, and those applications will be reviewed. And hopefully we'll have a new coordinator to assist Renee, because Renee was spending probably close to 60% of her work time on the food pantry. So this will be a great opportunity for Renee to be able to dig into other aspects of the areas that she needs to focus on too. So please spread the word.
And that's a paid position.
That is a paid position. That position will actually be paid from ARPA funds, the town's ARPA funds.
Oh.
So that's not out of the Council on Aging's budget.
For 3 years.
For hopefully 3 years.
I was very thankful to Holly for getting that
great.
Yeah,
funding.
that was actually the town manager's office, thanks to Assistant Town Manager Keith Baldinger for recognizing the fact that the growth of the food pantry has just become more than we ever expected to see in such a short amount of time.
Well, we've received great support from
Yep.
both Keith and the town manager, Kevin, so appreciate that. Any other questions?
Thank you, Renee.
Great, thank you. I'm going
Thanks for all the
to take
board
my leave
involvement.
early today.
Okay.
Thanks.
And the food pantry is inside the senior center. It's not the little food booth in the parking lot. That's a whole.
That's
different
right, it's
ballgame.
separate. People tend to think that the refrigerator out there is ours, and it's the Rotary Club that manages that.
Right.
And of course, sometimes we put food out there, and we also bring food to the Housing Authority, to the 3 communities, so.
Very good. Thanks for all you do. All right. Transportation
Outreach.
outreach.
Yep. So transportation outreach is still going very strong. Both Cynthia Willis, Transportation Coordinator, and I both attended some roundtable discussions with the WRTA as well as a third party just recently. And the goal of those roundtables was to figure out, where do the WRTA buses go, as well as our vans, and where do we need them to go? So both of us at 2 different roundtables were asked to kind of put sticky dots on the areas in Shrewsbury that we would like to see an increase going to. One of the other things that Cynthia is incorporating is Cynthia created, she had a map printed of all the areas in Shrewsbury, all the updated areas, and what she's doing is reaching out to all of those development areas that are either 55 and over or new assisted living complexes, and she's reaching out and she's trying to spread the word of all of the things that she's offering in transportation. One of the things that I've already mentioned as far as transportation too is that soon we'll be actually owning one of the white vans, which ultimately means that we'll be able to travel outside of the state to provide special trips. So we're very excited to be able to go to the beach and go to New Hampshire and all of those things that will be up and coming in the foreseeable future. So that is one of the things that she's doing. One of the other things Cynthia is doing is she's going to all of the housing complexes in town, so the Towers, Francis Gardens, Elizabeth Gardens, and she goes there at least once a month, and she updates the newsletter, she updates flyers, as well as what she's been doing is providing program opportunities, so a little bit of outreach. So she's done a couple of dinners already, she has done a bingo game, and she has sent out surveys to many of those clients that live at the Housing Authority to figure out, you know, what it is that they would like to see and where we can expand our outreach. So that is our transportation outreach for November.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, COA, board policies, those were sent out to the board members. Any questions or comments? Just for your information, really. Raquel?
I just reviewed them, I looked there, didn't find spelling mistake, it was just, looks okay to me.
Okay, well, on an ongoing basis, if you have any questions for either myself or Holly, probably better through Holly, but either way. Volunteer update, Casey.
Right before we get to that, one of the things that I did want to mention about the COA board policies that really mean a lot to myself and the staff is that one of the things mentioned is the request for board members to be involved in any one or two activities just in 1 year. So what I would like to request from the board is when you do attend an activity, now Medicare doesn't count, Shine doesn't count, but if you do attend a different activity, if you can just remember which one it was, so that I can see where your interests are, because I might not always remember, and it allows me to work with the board members who might not have attended any of the programs yet, so I could see like what makes them happy, what are their interests in, so I can expand those focus groups also. So I just wanted to mention that before.
So our card, when we swipe our card, that doesn't, and we designate what we're there for, that wouldn't pick it up?
Not necessarily. So that what that's telling me is that you're volunteering, you know. So when you swipe in, you're volunteering as a COA board, not necessarily for that particular event. So it depends on how you're swiping. You know, if you're swiping to attend an event, yes, that will pick it up. If you're swiping to record your COA board volunteer hours, that won't necessarily pick it up.
Okay, so we should email you?
Just,
Or let you
just
know
send me a
somehow?
reminder, or just keep it in your back pocket, just so like so we all remember what we've attended.
Okay, Raquel.
So until now, I never swiped it when I went for those events, so would you rather we do that, or should we actually tell you?
No, so you can do either one. You can either check in as a volunteer, or just check in as at an event,
Yeah.
which is probably easier, because
Okay.
you don't necessarily have to record your hours.
Yeah, I know. I
Okay.
just like to do it the right way.
Yep, there's two right ways, so whichever one is easiest for you all.
That's okay, thank you.
I think it is good, though, to swipe your card for those events. so
Always.
Just to show the head count for that.
Yeah, I
Okay,
haven't done it so far, so.
it's okay.
Okay, sorry, Casey.
Very good.
So our volunteers continue to be strong. We could still use probably a couple more folks to volunteer for the suppers on Tuesday nights. We do have a couple volunteers that are there, you know, every Tuesday, so that's been very helpful. But we'd rather have more people than not enough. So if anyone is interested, please give me a call on that. We're also looking for a volunteer to help with mailing the newsletters every month. It's really only about a half hour of anyone's time. We'll have the buckets set up. It's really just bringing them down to the USPS distribution center to have them mailed out, and then bringing the empty buckets back so that we can prep them moving forward. We also would really love to have a Bollywood instructor come to give classes on Bollywood dancing. We think that that would be a big hit in our community. So if there are any, you know, Bollywood instructors out there or anybody who feels like they could do that, please let us know. You can come into the senior center, fill out a volunteer application to do that. We also have our Yahoo program. So that's our young adults helping out others. These are the teens that go out to the homes of seniors who have been able to register to clean up their yards, just raking leaves, weeding if appropriate. We've had 2 pretty successful weekends so far. The first weekend, they had, 1 yard had 72 bags that got raked up of leaves to get picked up. So that was a huge success. I've gotten a lot of really awesome feedback from the seniors whose yards have been cleaned up, and that it's been a really big help. Again, we could always use more volunteers for that too. So if there are any grandparents or parents watching that have grandkids or kids that are looking for something to do on Saturday mornings, please send them on down. And then we have our Inter-Age Alliance group who meets every week now. They alternate between in-person and via Zoom. And they have a lot of great ideas for things that they'd like to bring to the community, and we're looking to have them do more food drives as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for volunteers, I think.
Casey, what is the job required for the Tuesday night dinner volunteers? What is that? What would they be doing?
Yep, so all that they would be doing is setting up the tables for the dinners. Once the dinners are delivered, it would be serving them out on the plates. So we found that when we were getting them individually portioned, the food was not staying warm enough, and people were a little dissatisfied. So they send them now in full trays, and then the food gets served portioned out onto the plates and then brought to them, just making sure that they have everything they need. And then after a little while, bringing them their desserts, making sure that they have drinks that they need and everything, and then cleaning up after. So, yes.
Do you know how many people are coming in advance? I mean,
Yes.
and do they pay on the spot?
So they pay to reserve their spot for the Tuesday night dinner.
they
So
pay
it's
ahead of
$5.
time?
What's that?
They pay ahead of time?
Yes.
1 week.
Yep, so the RSVP date is always the Tuesday before the following Tuesday, because we do get a lot of signups for each week with people who come each week. So that has been going well. So we always know how many people are going to be there, and we order the meals based on
And
that
what's the
RSVP.
time on it?
What's that?
What's the time of?
So we asked them to be at the senior center by 3:30.
The food.
The food.
The
and
volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the volunteers also by 3:30 to make sure everything's all set up, and then they're usually gone maybe a little bit after 4, if not right around 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, it's pretty
volunteers?
quick. Yeah.
Wait a minute, eating, serving, and cleaning up? and
Yeah,
all
so
by
they
half an
kind of
hour?
clean up as people are eating, kind of get their plates out of their way when they're done eating with their regular meals, and then they get their prepackaged cookies or whatever. So it might be like 4:15 or so. But yeah, I mean,
What time is dinner?
I'm sorry, not 4:15.
Yeah.
5:50.
By 5. Sorry about that.
I knew you were going to get it. I was just waiting.
It was just chugging along in there. So by
Stuff in the
5 or
food,
5:15.
And a lot of them stick around and socialize,
Yep.
sometimes almost up until 6:30. So, yeah, that's the part that, I think that one of the reasons why we want to keep this going, right? We're probably going to see a little bit less of them staying as late now that it's darker. But it really is a great opportunity for a Tuesday night for $5 a meal. It's wonderful.
How many participants do you usually have?
So last night we had 19. And we also, for the volunteers for that, they get a meal as well. And they don't have to pay for it. So their volunteering is, they get their meal for volunteering as a thank you. So it usually runs about 15 to 20, I want to say. There are some meals that are more popular than others, of course. But we are also working with the catering company to make sure that the food is warm enough. So we're getting some ideas on to make that a better experience, because that is the main feedback that we get, that the food is just not warm enough by the time they get to eat it.
Can they use the kitchen? For the
Yeah, so
warmer?
we are using the warmers, but sometimes it still just isn't quite enough. So we're working with them on strategies to make that better.
Okay,
Interesting.
very good.
dementia-friendly.
programs?
Oh, no,
Dementia-friendly
she's on.
update, yes.
Yep. So our dementia-friendly group meets quarterly. We just had a meeting on October 29th, and I did a Dementia Friends info session for those that attended. So that was really great information that they all received. So those that were there are all considered dementia friends now, so you can always talk to them. I will be setting up some community dementia friends info sessions in the future as we get more time to do so, as well as dementia friends info sessions for town departments so that people are more aware of what to look out for and how to handle situations where somebody might be presenting a little bit confused, and to help them through that in the least stressful way for everyone involved. We are working with them for a name tag initiative in the town so that everybody's wearing name tags, because even if you don't have dementia, it's nice to be able to just look at someone's name tag and remember their name and be reminded of their name and know who you're talking to, particularly for public-facing folks. The signs are on the agenda for that as well. Our select board team members are working with the town manager's office. We are also working to get arms added to the benches in town to make it both age and dementia friendly, so people have something to hold on to stand up. We noticed that a lot of our benches in town that may have been donated don't have arms, so they're a little bit difficult for people to get up out of. So we're working on that as well. It's just a little bit more complicated than we anticipated. I also was notified by the police department at our last meeting that they are applying for a grant for Wanderer bracelets. So that'll work both for people with dementia and people with autism. And it's kind of like a tracker bracelet, so that would be helpful to find some people. So they're working on that. And I think that is all of the update I have for Dementia Friendly right now.
Very good.
Or gal.
Sorry.
Raquel?
It's very interesting about the bracelet.
Yeah.
So, it's something GPSed by whom? By police or?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah, so it's,
I need one for my husband. For his phone.
yeah. Yeah, I understand.
Sorry.
Yeah, so
We won't
that,
put that in the minutes.
yeah, so hopefully they'll get that grant. I do think that they want to pursue it whether they get the grant or not, but the grant would certainly be helpful for them to get that.
So how does that, how do the bracelets work? I mean, they're not reporting, you can't set parameters, you just can query
Yes.
an app or something.
That's
to
my
say, and they'll
understanding.
Put a dot on it.
Yeah, and they'll see where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have those phone apps.
yep,
Right.
yeah.
That would work, wouldn't it, Raquel? No, never
On
mind.
him now. Tell you a story later.
Okay, any other questions on that? That's a lot. Another office position,
Yep.
office assistant.
Yep, so we have an open office assistant position at 37.5 hours. That will assist with administrative duties as well as our munis reports, our payroll, expenses, invoices and things like that. We had probably 25 applicants, so we've narrowed it down and we'll be interviewing with those applicants in the next couple of weeks. So we're very eager to fill that position.
Okay,
Next one.
up to programs. Emergency preparedness update.
Yes, so we created 400 emergency preparedness kits, and with the thanks of all of the volunteers that helped and really just put them together, the fastest I've ever seen any line go. And that evening, that Tuesday evening, when we stopped giving them out at 6 o'clock, we only had 30 left. Then all 30 went the very next morning within 2 hours. So 400 emergency kits went. So in the funds that were used to create those was a $4,000 grant from Massachusetts Council on Aging, as well as our state formula grant that I think we utilized just about $7,000 to make up for, because we wanted to make sure that we purchased everything that we wanted to originally. And of course, having 400 kits made, it came with a little bit of a price tag. But that is what the formula grant is for. And we are still receiving requests for people who are even non-seniors looking for those kits. So I have already let the town manager's office know about the success of this particular program. And I did volunteer my time if they should want to do anything in the future, that the Council on Aging Department would be happy to help.
Otherwise, we would maybe put it in next year's budget to buy more kits?
So that took a lot of work, and I'm not sure that this is something that needs to be done annually, or, like I said, if this is something that we can collaborate with either a stakeholder or another department. I know that the fire department recently, in the last few months, offered a very great informational program to all of the department heads. So should there be an emergency in Shrewsbury, all the department heads will know how to get a hold of, so COA would know how to help getting a hold of the senior population in having those kind of responsibilities followed. So it is obviously an ongoing process, should the situation arise.
Okay, great. Veterans Dinner.
Yes, so yesterday was the Veterans Dinner. It was catered by Napoli's, which again, those funds came from the state formula grant. This has been something I've been doing since 2020. We had roughly 30 people attend. We had budgeted for 60, but we also understand that there was still a lot of veteran events going on, which probably accounted for the lower number this year, and the fact that we did dinner. So again, the changing of the daylight savings could account. But what we ended up doing was everybody that came also left with an additional meal, so they were quite happy with that. We had some great volunteers. We had Lynn Alexandrowitz from Accessible Home Care come and assist, so that was wonderful. And everybody seemed to have a great time, and they hoped that we would do it again. So that is my plan annually, to have a veterans, either luncheon or dinner.
It's great. Okay, seniors still believe.
Yes, so with the holiday season and Christmas ahead of us, so what we're doing this year is, so for Seniors Still Believe, we're collecting large print activity books, as well as additional food donations for our food pantry. So the goal is to keep minds active in food in homes. So we have already started accepting these items. The items will be distributed, the large print activity books will be distributed to Meals on Wheels clients, as well as those living in the housing authority. I do want to give out a shout out to a volunteer. Her name is Deborah. She actually lives in Worcester. She loves to do artwork. So noticing that, we gave her the task of creating handmade holiday cards, and she actually created 200 of them. So she was coming into the senior center, and she just did amazing. I mean, watercolors, marker colors, everything. So we have those cards, but we are always accepting more. We've had numerous people reach out to us asking if they can donate things. And one of the things I always try to remind everybody is that those donations go well at the senior center, but remembering that we're an active senior center, and to perhaps consider also reaching out to the Shrewsbury Nursing Home or the assisted livings to make those donations too, for those people that actually live in those locations, who might not have family, especially the nursing homes. But that is a resource that I always give whenever anybody gives us a call. So we will gladly take donations, but there are other places in town, and I'm happy to speak with anybody if they want more information on that.
Great. Okay, moving along, nutrition, important topic. More about nutrition, food pantry coordinator we mentioned.
Yep, we already mentioned that, and I think Renee did a pretty thorough job already speaking about the food pantry, so unless there's any other questions or anything, or suggestions, I think we're all set.
I think we're good there. That brings us to any new business, old business?
No?
All right.
Okay.
Anything else? If not, motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all your involvement,
Thank you.
board members. Appreciate it.